We are we were 2/5 of Torneo. We're now 2/3 of Torneo. We just put out an album called Torneo. You should listen to it. Why should you listen to it?
It's insane. You should
It is mental.
It's mental. It will blow your mind and ears and every sense organ you have.
Sense organ?
Yeah.
That's a good... Maybe that should be the second album name. Sense organ. It's our first album. It's what we is. You know?
Yeah. It's like our first groundworks to the roots, to the tree that reaches to the sky.
It's called Torneo because it's what is us. That is Maddie, by the way. She's a friend from uni. That whole photo shoot, I don't really know what it is or what it means. It's just that hat and... Will would know the meaning, but I also don't think there was a particular meaning. I think because he's a filmmaker. That's his thing. That's why the main reason why he's left is because he's like pursuing like film. But yeah, Will would know more than we would.
Do you know that film Zorro?
Yeah, do you know is he like a Spanish swordsman?
Yeah, and he wears that mask. It's almost like an extension of that. It's like the thief in the dark.
Our music is running around illegally enforcing the law.
Yeah.
It looks good. And yeah, we took a bunch of different ones and we didn't know what the final one was going to be before we chose it. But that's why they became single ones. I like the Split the Sky one where it's like close up.
Ryan, 3 words to describe the album.
Surprising, energetic, voluptuous.
Sorry? Not voluptuous.
Flumptuous.
I think that actually quite fits.
Yeah.
Not even voluptuous, but flumptuous.
Flumptuous, yeah. It's like you put it in your mouth, it's sweet and it has a marshmallowy kind of texture.
But ours is a bit of like an evil flump.
Yeah, it is. But do you know the jelly beans where it's like the ones where you can get either like
bean boozled flump?
Yes, it's like having your dessert first, discovering that you don't have a main at all.
It's like having a roast, but you're not allowed the roast.
It's like having a roast, but it's actually all been like grilled.
But it's all stuffing. It's like having a roast, but it's actually a kebab.
It's like no, I can't anymore. This is getting too much.
That's good. That's a good way of describing the album, I think.
Joseph, 3 words to describe the album.
Well, you've taken some good words here, and I feel like you really summed up what the album's about with the sort of bean boozled flump analogy. I'd say exciting, varied, and passionate. I think it was a passionate album.
It was.
It took a lot of fucking effort, and I'm glad that it's out now. I'm glad that it's finally under our belt and done. Below the trousers,
underneath the ball sack, between my dick. My favourite tracks off the album. I like Inertia.
Really?
I really.
That's
like
a deep cut. That's not what I'd expect you to say, to be fair, because that's probably one of my least favourite. Although I do like.
What would you expected me to say?
I don't know, like Showman or Collapsing Starlight or Aurora. I'm just telling you.
Aurora Dolores.
Aurora Dolores is a great song.
Yeah, Aurora Dolores.
I really like that one.
I'd say Showman's like I'd say third. In my
Showman
top 3
is the show track, which is why it's the first song on the album. Because it's like, have it. You know what I mean? It's like, it's very... Could have probably the one that most people have spoken to me about and said they like. But that's probably one of my least favourite, apart from the heavy part. Yeah. It's a feel-good. So it's like a summary song, isn't it?
That's what I said. I could imagine like us running through a field. Like
a field of wheat.
No, but I imagined like running through a field and it's like do 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 do, and we're running through and it's like us in like fucking like speedos or like superhero
You're
suits,
imagining
speedos.
us all in speedos.
Yeah. In
running
like,
through fields.
No, being chased by like dogs.
Right. Well, you had a whole fucking music video. I didn't know about.
Like you're like running in slow motion. It's almost like an American action movie scene, but like almost like.
Is this a thing that's been in your mind for a while?
Clearly, this has been on his mind.
This plays through my head while I'm flipping burgers in McDonald's.
Listen to us so we can get out of McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. So I can enact this.
Do you guys have a least favourite song on the album?
Well, there was a track called Vessel that was very nearly finished, but you didn't record.
There's like 2 harmonies on there, which I really wanted to do, but
fucking kill you. You get perfectionist to a point that is insane. It's fair enough. I get it.
Yeah. Well, that song will be a very good single. Intermission, like in between the release.
It'll come out at some
album.
point, and I think we'll probably rework it a little bit and just really, because now we've got all the time in the world to tighten it up.
Yeah,
we can. You know what I mean? Like we can sort of do whatever we want with it.
It's not far off being done
because we've done the album. The album's said and done.
We can play with it. We have more time to just like play with it more. Because that song is beautiful.
I wrote that.
Probably some of my favourite harmonies I've probably ever wrote over.
One thing we forgot to do, and it's kind of good that it wasn't released because no one would ever notice. But the bass is MIDI.
Oh, is it? Yeah, we
it's
can definitely do that better
stock
then.
Logic MIDI. I also wouldn't mind some acoustic guitars on that.
Well, we could flesh it out and I really want to perfect those harmonies as well. 2 harmonies which were vital to certain parts of the track, which just disappeared off the file. And I spent a while trying to find them. But then at this point in the studios, there was always being booked up. I couldn't get a chance to get into it.
Yeah, it was to the point where it was.
I went in there for an hour.
We'd finished uni, so it was all remote work at this point. Like it was the last finishing touches on the album, and we couldn't work together, so we had to work email and shit. When you're working on different versions of Logic and stuff, like things get fucky, don't they?
Things get moving around and things. I had to reconstruct things, and then I was like, yeah.
It's a shame, but it's good that it wasn't rushed. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think it will cultivate
something better.
Yeah,
something greater than what it could have been.
There's points where I did some vocal harmonies which were completely off the cuff with what everything did, which made me tear up.
Your own vocals made you
and I've showed it to a few people.
I don't know if that's beautiful or just like really narcissistic.
No. When I was doing it, when I was like actually singing it, like I was like shedding tears at points. And
that's
like,
beautiful.
I showed a couple people it, and then they
started crying.
One person did, not crying, but like they shed tears, and I was like,
tears. The fans and the people that we've been lucky enough to have come to our shows while we've been in Cornwall have always been so like ready for like a fucking rumble. You know what I mean? They're like throwing down. People are rowdy at our shows, and you don't always see that with like bands in that scene. And I'm really happy.
I think it comes to the point with that though. Yeah,
that people have like showed out for us like that. It made playing and writing and performing every aspect of being in the band really, really rewarding.
Killy, I love Killy.
Killy is a great fucking venue. God. I'll always have love for that venue, and I'll always play it if we get the chance to play it.
It's just so intimate of like kind of like everyone's really like quite close together.
Sweaty little punk
stinky,
pub.
Smelly pub.
Yeah, everyone's moshing. Yeah, the speakers get knocked over.
Yeah.
People spill beer on you while you're playing.
I feel like I become a rabid animal in that place.
You do. And your stage presence and performance is fucking sick. And especially at Killy, because it's such a tight, packed in, mad little venue. I do really enjoy it. Selling Out Cornish Bank was a really good one. That was a big one for us.
That was a sick gig. The sound, I love the sound there.
Yeah, that's the best sound you can get, I think, at any venue we've played in Cornwall or the Southwest. It's really cool as well because it's like 2 stories. So when it's packed out, you've got like people on a second floor looking down at you, and the stage is very open. So you've got all people sort of surrounding the stage and then going further back, and then you've got this second floor of like everyone looking down on you.
Yeah, it's like quite all encompassing.
I've never felt more in a band than at that gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it felt like quite like almost like an amphitheater. Amphitheater.
Yes, yeah. Not to say that there hasn't been some not so good gigs as well.
Yeah.
I've never got your perspective on the obvious one.
To me, I loved it so much. It was a brilliant gig.
Do you want to get some context?
It had like
is this the LSD?
No,
the Shrooms gig.
Shrooms gig, yeah.
How many grams did you take?
I can't even remember. It was a full bag.
A full bag. Half an hour before we went up.
I really enjoyed it.
I'm sure you did. You put on some interesting vocals that night. It was not like... Because you disappeared to take the shrooms, and then you reappeared about 10 minutes before we went on stage, and you were like pogoing about like this. And I was like, are you all right? And you looked at me with like the most crazed eyes I've ever seen. You were just like... Yeah. I was like, are you good? And you were like, yeah, just done a lot of shrooms. And I think I did say like how much you were all right. He's like, I don't know. We have an old song called Teeth.
Yeah, that one.
He's meant to scream in it, and he sung it in like a falsetto.
I don't know what happened. It's like I like just couldn't scream.
Yeah, it's meant to be like a gravelly, like Cobain-esque, almost screaming, sort of shouting, singing.
Yeah,
and you were sort of like.
Teeth inside.
Yeah, you were like, teeth inside the words you spoke.
It was quite funny, yeah.
And I remember just being behind the kit, and I was like looking at you, like, what the fuck?
It's not like I was like planning it. Let's just say that.
You just thought, we've got a gig, let me trip.
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought I'd see how it went with shrooms.
You took a lot. It was visible on your face before we went on.
There was a few songs on it, though. There was a couple that, like, I feel actually went well. But... the scream aspect ones, I feel like I did not execute.
You weren't in the sort of moment for it, I suppose.
But the ones which are more like, say, prettier vocal ones, I feel like went well.
How did you like feel about like the audience, and how did you react to the situation of singing in front of a crowd in a band while tripping balls?
Oh, I was fine with it. No, I was pretty.
Care to expand? Like, how did it feel?
Oh, it was incredible. I remember I was like there, and I was like at the points where I was just like, because as well, like there was a couple songs which I hadn't wrote the lyrics for yet.
This is a thing he does. We'll go to gigs and he still won't have finished lyrics, and you'll just sing off the dome before we even get to the jam section, which is a whole nother thing. That's something I'm going to really miss about the other boys. We could probably continue that, but at the end of every gig, we have like 10 minutes to just jam and play whatever. And sometimes it goes terrible, but most of the time it goes pretty sick.
90% of the time, it
You reckon 90%?
I reckon 90% of the
fair
time.
play.
There's been a few weird ones.
Yeah,
but like
where you don't really know where to go with it, but then it kicks into something that's like, we all look at each other and it's like, yeah, we're in the groove now. And we have some recordings of them, I think.
Yeah.
That might or might not be on our YouTube. Do you remember when we played Fish Factory and we had like a really long one, and like Will was playing like an Eastern, like Egyptian almost bass line? I just remember you started rapping because you were like singing and like got like sort of like harmonizing along, and then he just suddenly just burst out with "and I'm way too cold." Yeah, and I was like creasing playing. There might be a video of it somewhere. You
Did
just
it
like,
actually fit?
You started like scatting. You're like ba da da ba da ba da ba 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 da, and I'm way too cold.
Did I actually say
Too
that?
cold for yeah, and you started like sort of
remember
like
that.
sing rapping, and I was just creasing. I like lost the beat for a second. I was like, you did not just go, and I'm way too cold.
I don't remember that. Jesus.
Yeah. The album is just called Torneo, is because what else can you call it? Like,
Yeah.
this is Torneo music. Do you get what I mean? It's got a bit of everyone's influences and what everyone enjoys within sort of the big umbrella of like rock music.
Yeah, because everyone as well within the band had completely different tastes in things, even though they converged in a lot of ways. It's like in a lot of ways we didn't converge in things,
and we've had disagreements and stuff like while working on the album, but it's never like something that you can't compromise with because we all bounce off each other in a way.
Different kind of tastes, it can have like certain like friction between things, right? Is that the more that opening continues, the more it kind of allows that space for things to actually weave and work in ways where you wouldn't expect.
Because we took ages to like find our sound. Well, not ages, because we've been a band for 3 years now, basically. And when we started out, like Charlie was on vocals. It was like very like, it was like 60s like twee pop and shoegaze, and now we've released this album and it's so like worlds away, but
like,
it still has
finding your. It's like we have, but it's. I feel like that in a way is almost like kind of a wave coming to the shore, isn't it?
Yeah, well,
do you know what I mean? Like it's like
because I don't think it, well, a lot of bands do it, and there's no shade to bands that do that, but like you never want to like find your sound in the sense that you
stick to that religion and think like if you don't want to, because then you're not evolving.
Because this album that we're working on now is so different to this one. Like it doesn't sound the same. The sort of the subgenres aren't the same. It's a whole different beast.
Yeah,
but that's what I want to keep doing. I want to keep moving forwards. And like now we're a free.
But it's like remaining like there's a sense of like a kind of like a familiarity to it in a sense that
because we are who we are. And we make the music that we make.
So even though they may change and shift in ways which is like maybe completely different sounds to what the first album would be, right? Compared to what say one would be in 2 years' time. It's like that one in 2 years' time may have essences and familiarities which have a kind of like, well, that's Torneo.
I really like that metaphor you use about the wave coming to the shore. Because I can imagine it like little rocks get taken with that wave and left at the shore, and then it goes back in. New development comes back out, more little rocks, and it just keeps repeating.
It's like, and even like the wave itself, like it comes in and then gets drawn back in. It's like the wave that comes out again is not can you say it's the same wave or not? Do you know what I mean?
It's just got remnant. It's all the same ocean. Isn't
Yeah,
it?
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Moral of the story is, if you're in a band, don't make music that don't make the music that you think in your head you want to make. Make the music that you, as a collective, end up creating, and that's how you have like a sound.
Do you want to speak briefly about the next album?
Yes. Well, you don't know much about the next album.
I don't know much about it.
Because basically, what happened is me and Charlie. I went to Charlie's in Wales for 2 weeks, and we basically just wrote and recorded like 12 or 13 songs. He was going to come, but he couldn't make it in the end. He couldn't get time off work. So yeah, I went and stayed in like the Welsh countryside at Charlie's house, and yeah, we just fucking sat and mobbed through an album basically. A few of them are like older ideas. Like there's one It's probably going to be called November-y, but that could be subject to change. But that was like one that was originally going to go on this first album. But aside from that, they're pretty much all new tracks, and they sound totally different, and the album will be totally different. Like, it's a lot more, it sounds more DIY, but not in like a lo-fi, like shitty sense. It's still crisp. It's still got like a bit of, it's got a bit of spice to it. But it's not like a studio album. It's more sort of like weird, quirky indie, I guess. Like psychedelic. It's like bedroom psychedelic rock. I don't even know what to call it, man. It's weird. But yeah, I just went there and we just recorded and wrote a bunch of songs and like destroyed a record. He's got all these old like 70s charity shop records, and we found like a gimmicky, it was like, I think it was meant to be like a Christmas thing actually. It was like a guy like talking and doing like a funny voiceover with like some classical music in the background. Yeah. And we slowed it down to like the wrong RPM and then like scratched. So it's probably really bad for the record player, but he didn't seem to care. It was his record player. We like scratched a bunch of marks in it with a key, basically, and like wrote stuff on it, and put it back through the record player with a delay pedal going through the output. So it's just like a really weird, sort of trippy interlude thing. We'll probably use it. Like, this is the thing about when people talk about sort of transformative sampling versus basically just stealing shit. It's like, yeah, I get it. If you just flip something and just immediately like put it on like a free for profit sort of YouTube beat, that's one thing. But like actually like taking something and I don't want to sound like a proper like artsy punts, but like taking something that was intended for one thing, destroying it, completely recontextualizing it and putting it like in something else. I feel like that's a lot more interesting.
Yeah, I generally think it is really up to the kind of context of like what you're doing it with, like what you're.
Well, it's about recontextualizing what you've nicked, basically.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Because you can have multiple ways of doing it. Say you used like a guitar part that was 10 seconds, which is from something, right? And you did not change that much at all, but lowered that in like, say, volume and in intensity in the track compared with things that you had nicked, which was, say, this one was transformed to the point where it's unrecognizable. This one was transformed to the point where it's like, you could recognize it, but it'd be, say, harder to. And then this one you haven't changed at all. But then you put them all together and they all of a sudden become something completely different, which you wouldn't be able to place. That right there is like what you could say it's like. But then obviously there's ends of the spectrum to this.
When it gets to that point, that's just making music again.
Well, it is,
because
exactly,
you're taking it so far away from what it was.
But then
originally.
That's what I mean, because then it's like that's that kind of like balancing, merging midpoint of what it is.
But it comes a point where it's so divorced from what it was, and you've put it in something worthy enough of it being transformed.
Yes,
it's like. Yeah, if someone wants to do that to my music, by all means, you know what I mean?
Because that's just like, that's the kind of like, there's no way that that like art or anything like that or
can exist without taking from other things. It's definitely like a quote. It's like art doesn't exist in a vacuum. Because it can't. It has to have something to bounce off of, or someone hears something or sees something and goes, I like that. That's gonna get lodged in my subconscious.
There's people that would argue against that though.
Well, no, you can.
Because there's obviously people that like, have you heard about like monks and things that like have like been like
but there's
solitary for years and stuff like that.
There's like cave.
But then they do reintegrate into. There's a lot of people that do reintegrate into society with that stuff. There's this guy called Osho. Have you heard of this guy called Osho?
No, I haven't.
Well, is this
okay, right.
This guy called but this is the speaker guy, and he like he went away and like did not see anyone for years.
You show me this guy. He's very interesting.
Yeah, he went away for years and he didn't see anyone and just like meditated staring at a wall for years or whatever it was. Did not see it.
Nutter.
But he then went and integrated back into society and like actually like went, because it's almost
Did
like
you spend a lot of time with walls,
in or out.
Either.
Both. In the walls, out the walls.
Yeah,
he was them.
I'm sure he was after all that time.
Sorry, what was the name of the second album? The next one?
Don't have it. It's as yet untitled. At the moment, and this probably won't be the final album cover, but it's a strong contender. It is. When I got off at Charlie's house to go and record this album, opposite the train station.
Is this the title?
Yeah, it's a long one. This isn't the title. This is a story. This is an anecdote. When I got off the train at Charlie's to go and record the album, The train station I got off at, opposite, and this is like in the Welsh countryside, hills.
Sorry, I'm hearing
Shut up.
the album
Shut up.
writing out on a piece of...
Right.
So imagine this when it's like...
It's like 2 pages long. Maybe we should.
That is so funny.
That'll be out of the box. So, shush.
Okay.
Right. So, when I went to record this album, now you're making me think of it.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah.
I'm intently
You've planted the seed. Right, okay. So when I went to Wales to record this album, I got off the train and the house right opposite the train station, bear in mind this, fuck you. Bear in mind, just cut this together. Bear in mind. Oh.
No, carry on.
Yeah.
I do actually want to like hear this.
So yeah, I got off the train station. In the middle.
So now it's coming to me.
Yeah,
It's contagious.
middle of the Welsh countryside.
That's it.
Yeah, that's a good one. So got off the train and there's a house right opposite the train station. There's like no houses around it, just fields and shit and a little road. And there's a white house, massive black paint, block letters, welcome to hell, facing the train station. So I took a picture of that and it just, the composition of it. It's a shitty phone photo, which is the thing. I might commission someone to paint it. That could be cool.
That'd be cool.
But basically, yeah. So it's a little normal house. All these like rolling Welsh hills, and it just says fucking welcome to hell plus. And apparently the reason why is because the guy there didn't want, it's a relatively like new train station, or they like expanded on it, or they wanted to do something. And he was like, I know what will piss off the council. Welcome to hell on my house. So now he just has a house that says welcome to hell on it.
Oh, sick.
Doesn't count as graffiti because it's his property.
Exactly.
They can't get rid of that.
No.
Genius.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Damn.
I might get someone to paint it because it is a really cool, but I don't know if I want the album to be called Welcome to Hell.
It does sound a little bit like...
Welcome to Hell.
Yeah, it sounds
it's
a bit corny.
But it is a really cool photo.
I feel like you could almost have that as part of it, but call it
If we made a doom metal EP, I keep saying this, if we make a doom metal EP, we'll call it Welcome to Hell and we'll have that as a photo. But I don't think this album will be Welcome to Hell. But it could be. It makes sense though. Give it here. Ugh. Why do you like position it as some sort of pseudo penis? Now I'm sucking on it. No, I'm not, there's no way you can put that in.
He's going to put it in. Yeah, listen to the album. Take it in. Really, really absorb what it has to offer.
Follow us on everything.
Yeah.
Give us money.
Follow us down the street. Watch us like intently.
Knock on our doors.
Yeah.
And say, we love you.
Pretend to be bailiffs.
One of them just turned out the light.
Yeah. It knows that this is the end.
It does. They know that this is the end, but not the end of Torneo. Although 2 have left, 3 remain, and a second album is on its way. That was quite poetic.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
That's a good way to...
That is the way to end it.
To wrap it up. Because you've got to get on like
Wrap it up.
3 trains.
And this is our Christmas interview.
Pack it up, pack it in, let me begin.
Back in the wind, and that's it. I want to put the in my tackle. Get up. Come and put your hands up. Jump across the ceiling.
Pack it up, pack it in.
Let me begin.
I can't win. Battle me, battles. What is it, sin? Jump around.
Is that it then?
Yeah.
Just itch my balls for the last scene.